guys. We're here. And it's officially, guys, it's officially the first ever video podcast for To the House. I am absolutely excited to be here, guys. Um, Welcome, episode 10 here of To the House podcast. I'm your host, Leo Rodriguez. It has been an interesting week of football, that is for sure. I'm very excited about the games. But first, let's go straight into college because obviously this was a big week for college football. As we finally got our final rankings for the semifinals, for the college football semifinals. Number one will be Michigan. Number two will be Washington. Number three will be the University of Texas. Four is Alabama. The Roll Tide baby. Roll Tide has officially entered the college football playoffs. Pretty awesome. They deserved it. They absolutely smacked down the number one team in the country in Georgia. Um, they were miles better than Georgia. Georgia struggled against this Alabama team. It was a good football game. I thought Alabama were the best team on the field, though. They truly were. Alabama did not. Georgia did not play their best game. You could clearly see that McCluskey and Brock Bowers were not uh, healthy in this game, but you can't make any excuses. Alabama beat them fair and square, and that's what it is. That's all that matters for teams. And that's all that matters. And Alabama's through, but obviously, you have to feel for Florida State, who went undefeated, won their conference, and they are no longer in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs before this, guys. They were fourth. They just got kicked out. The committee made the decision to put Alabama in and not Florida State. I know it's a tough decision, and a lot of people are arguing about it, but it was the right decision. I mean, the four best teams in the country are in the playoff, and it's, I think, fair. I think Michigan definitely deserved to be number one. They went the whole season undefeated. They beat everybody. They beat Ohio State. They dismantled Iowa. Washington beat Oregon twice, which a lot of people were saying Oregon should have been in the playoffs before even Washington even won this game. People were favoring Oregon, and Washington beat them twice, fair and square. By the way, Washington has every right to be in the playoff. Michael Penix Jr. Is a legit great quarterback that is ready for the NFL, and now he's got two more games for the rest of his career before becoming an NFL pro. It's very exciting. Their offense is exciting to watch. They have a good defense. They're a good coach team, and I'm excited to see them. And of course, Texas. Texas won. Texas won the Big 12, the Power Five conference. To be fair, Texas definitely belonged in the playoffs. Yeah, they lost to Oklahoma, and everybody's gonna say, "Well, that's a bad loss." But hey, they beat Alabama. That's why they're three. If not, Bama would have been. Well, if Texas won every single game, Texas probably would have been number two. Washington probably would be number three, and then maybe Bama, Florida State at four, or Georgia if Georgia won. But in the end, I think the committee got it right. They got it right. It was the right decision. I think it was. Yeah, you could say that it was maybe harsh of Florida State because they went the whole season undefeated, but losing Jordan Travis, their quarterback, their superstar, their catalyst, losing him changed the season. They changed their team. I guarantee you, if they didn't have Jordan Travis in the this season, Florida State would never have gone 13-0 and won the ACC championship game. We'll be probably seeing uh, Clemson versus Louisville or Wake Forest versus Louisville. It wasn't, the ACC is a joke, so it really doesn't matter. But I feel for Florida State, but they're just not the same team without Jordan Travis. And the committee knew the mistake they did when they brought in TCU over Alabama at several points. Like on several points, they put in Ohio State, which I get it because Ohio State at that time definitely deserved it and they definitely belong there. But let's be fair, guys. Like this team, that Florida State team would have lost by 50 to Michigan in that semifinal. It wouldn't even be close. It's not the same team anymore. Even, and with Jordan Travis, you could argue maybe they could give him a game, but without him, it's just not good. And they struggled. Like, guys, they struggled against their last two games. They struggled against North Alabama, guys. They did struggle against them. And they struggled against Florida, who's an okay team, not that great. Florida hasn't been great in years. And then they barely beat Louisville, who's not a very good team. So I think the committee got it right. Alabama just trounced, like they trumbled LSU, right? Ole Miss, um, Georgia, Tennessee was ranked. What are we talking about here? There's no argument. Alabama's schedule was a lot tougher than Florida State. Florida State played a bunch of bums. And no disrespect to the Seminoles, I love Florida State. I love their program. They've always been a historically great program for many years. But guys, be fair. Like, be for real. Florida State had no business being in the playoffs without Jordan Travis. The committee did not want to make another mistake like they did with TCU because that year should have been Bama. And yes, Bama didn't win a champion. They weren't in the SEC championship game, but it wouldn't matter. Alabama definitely deserved to be better because by ranking, Alabama should have been in the playoff. They should have, but they preferred not to because they say, "Oh, TCU, they're undefeated," and well, TCU didn't go undefeated. I'm sorry, they went 12-2, 12-1, and then they lost, and then they lost. So it's not a good look, and not the way they lost in the championship game, guys, ladies and gentlemen. They lost 66-7. It was a blowout. There's no reason to. There's no argument, no discussion. Florida State would have. If Florida State may have beaten Michigan, they're going to get killed by Washington or Texas. Alabama against Michigan, I'm paying to watch that game. I'm watching that game, and that's going to be a good game. That's going to be a very good game. I think the committee got it right. Michigan versus Alabama. That's a very exciting game to watch. I'm watching that for sure. Obviously, for obvious reasons, I like Alabama. I'm a fan of the Roll Tide, but obviously, you just want to see a good football game. Michigan's a very good football team. Alabama's a very good football team. They've proved so much since the loss against Texas, and ever since they had this that sadness over performance against University of South Florida, Alabama went on a tear. They went out and dominated. Well, not just dominated, they played better football, and they were clearly amongst the elite. And then it showed against Georgia. You can go toe to toe against Georgia and beat them the way Alabama did. You're in. I don't even think there's any argument. You cannot not let Nick Saban back in the playoffs. It don't matter what the ranking is. It doesn't matter what the record is. If Nick Saban's won a conference championship and he's 12-1, you got to put him in. It don't matter. I feel bad for Georgia because in a way Georgia went 2 years unbeaten. They were spectacular. Their last loss was against Alabama in the SEC championship game. So it gives you the frustration that Georgia should have been in there too. But that means you're going to take away Texas. And Texas is a really good football team. They beat Alabama. So in my way, if you're bringing in Alabama, then you got to bring in Texas. There's no argument. Committee got it right. Committee got it right. I have no problem with it. If Jordan Travis was there, and they won all these games. Florida State would have been it. No questions asked. Because Jordan Travis gives them a chance. It's that simple. Politics. It happens. Sports politics. It happens. Well, guys, let's get back to the NFL. Let's talk about Thursday night football. Last Thursday night was the Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks. Man, what a game we were pleasured to watch. Cowboys won 41-35 in an emphatic performance from the Cowboys and from the Seahawks, by the way. Because Geno Smith played lights out. He played a spectacular game against one of the best defenses in the National Football League. This guy put on a show with his weapons. DK Metcalf was spectacular. What's his name? Jackson Smith and Jibba had another fantastic game. Noah Fant had a nice game. This Seahawks offense played great, but this Cowboys offense, guys, wow. I think it's safe to say officially that Dak Prescott is officially an MVP candidate for me. And you can even argue he's in the top two. It has to be. Dak has officially entered the MVP candidacy. I think there's 4 guys that are now in the MVP talk: Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Tyreek Hill, and CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud might not get that much love because he's a rookie, but what he's doing in Houston is truly remarkable. Tyreek Hill is doing an historic season, guys. A historic season. This is truly an historic season. This dude might go for 2,000 receiving yards in a season. That's never been done. We talk about Calvin Johnson's season when he had like 1,900 yards. This dude's about to break 2,000. It's truly remarkable. That's in a season that you'll never see. It's an elite season. And of course, Brock Purdy, the numbers don't lie. I mean, Brock Purdy's putting in some truly outstanding performances. And this is Mr. Irrelevant, by the way. This was the last pick of the draft last year. And he is playing out of his mind. And he just went to Philadelphia and kicked the living shit out of the Eagles, which was beautiful to watch as a Cowboys fan. But Dak Prescott, all the chips were against him. Everything was against him. Right? Dak Prescott. Everybody was saying Dak Prescott is a walking turnover. This guy turns the ball over way too much. This guy's a problem. This guy's this. This guy's that. Ladies and gentlemen, the dude is throwing for almost 30 touchdowns already. He's got, I think, at one point, 6 interceptions, 6 or 7 interceptions, which is half of what he threw last season, which we were saying that he was struggling with turnovers, by the way. And he's come in and completely dominated. That game was the first win against a team over 500 this season. And he came in and dominated. He played great. He was the reason why they even won, because if you think about it, the defense played like shit. They couldn't stop anything. They could stop a cold if they could. And the only reason why they were in the game is because Dak Prescott was throwing it so effectively to CeeDee Lamb and to Troy Ferguson, or Jake Ferguson, I'm sorry, and Brandon Cooks. The only guy who can't really catch the ball right now is Michael Gallup. The Cowboys are just playing so much better, and Tony Pollard had a nice little decent game. The Cowboys offense is starting to move, and it's because of Dak Prescott. You can't argue it anymore with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott deserves to be in the MVP race. He's top 2 for me. It's between him and Brock Purdy. But those guys. And we'll talk about the Eagles, because obviously everybody was, kissing about Jalen Hurts. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But the Cowboys right now are a good team, but their big issues are showing, guys. Their issues are showing. Their defense struggles to stop. Their defense struggles to stop against the run. Charbonnet was that rookie running back. He had a nice day. You know, he had a really nice day. His performance, and they were lucky that he got hurt because ever since then their offense started not their running game started slowing down. That's what kind of got the Seahawks going in the right direction. Scoring all these points. And I had to say this was a performance I was very impressed by the Seahawks. But one thing is for sure, guys. The Cowboys struggle against the run. They got to play the 49ers, who you just saw ran over the Eagles, right? They just went there and smacked them around. And I don't know if the Cowboys are good enough to beat 49ers. If they could stop the running game, we better hope that Christian McCaffrey gets injured because it could be an ugly season for them. It can be a very horrible performance for them. And I don't know. I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what they do after this because the Cowboys they struggle with running to stopping the run and big plays worry me. DK Metcalf in the first play ran for like a 50, 60 yarder. It was a big touchdown. And I was just like, oh my God, this is ugly. I've never seen this in a while. Probably since the Eagles game where Devontae Smith had some nice little catches. Or against the Cardinals. That's a bit of a concern for me from that. But other than that, Cowboys have everything right. They have a good offense. My big concern will be can they maintain this run, though? Because their schedule does get ugly. Remember, they do play Philadelphia coming up on Sunday night. Then after that, they go to Buffalo. And then they host the Miami Dolphins. It's a nasty schedule. They still got to play the Commanders at Washington. Say what you want. Commanders are a terrible football team right now. But they always give the Cowboys a good game in Washington. So anything is possible. But the Cowboys schedule is ugly. It gets ugly. So we'll see how really good they are coming towards the month of December. And I'm curious to see how they can do it amongst the elite because Miami is a very good team. Buffalo went neck to neck against Philadelphia. And of course, the Eagles, yeah, they're overrated, but they're still a good team. So I'm curious to see how they do and will they maintain this run. And for the Seahawks, I feel for the Seahawks. I think Geno Smith played a fantastic game. He showed that he is definitely a great quarterback. But obviously, the Seahawks are going to need to figure out their future with the quarterback. And they just need to work on that offensive line, man. They really need to work on the offensive line. Their defense is very good, but their offensive line has issues. Too many injuries. That is for sure. We'll talk about this game because I want to talk about this game because this is literally one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life. Guys, I fell asleep during this game. These highlights, I swear to you, the NFL is funny. Like, this is probably like the easiest highlights you can ever say. 2 field goals, guys. 2 field goals. And you put like 13 minutes of highlights? Like, what the actual fuck happened in this game? All right, so this game I'm talking about is Chargers at New England at the Patriots. Chargers won 6-0 against the Patriots. 6-0. 2 field goals. 2 field goals. First off, the Chargers should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed of themselves. You have, guys, I know the weather sucked this weekend. If you're in the East Coast, the weather fucking sucked. It was raining like cats and dogs. It was windy. It was cold. It was horrible. It felt like it winter in the East Coast. But goodness gracious, you have Justin Herbert. You have that offense. You only could score 2 field goals. 2 field goals. That's how good you are? Chargers should be ashamed of themselves. The fact that they're 5-7 and they could still make the playoffs is fucking hilarious. Guys, this is comical. What are we doing here? What are we doing here with this fucking football team? The Chargers are a joke. They're 6. Congratulations. You shut down Bailey Zappi. And arguably the worst offense I have ever seen in the National Football League. I've seen some bad offenses, right? The Giants from a couple years back when they can only score like 17 points a game were pretty bad. The Patriots right now, this is by far the worst offense I have ever seen. This team is bad. They blamed Mac Jones for their offensive struggles. They put in Bailey Zappi. The dude looked like he shouldn't even belong in a football field, let alone an NFL roster, an NFL stadium. This guy was terrible. This guy was miserable. Hey, I get it. They don't have receivers. Juju Smith-Schuster looks like a big bust now for them. To be fair, he never was a number 1 receiver anyway. He's always that classic number 2 receiver. He's great when you have a number 1 receiver that could just dive away. If you had like a Tyreek Hill or an Antonio Brown when he was at Pittsburgh or at Kansas City, you had Travis Kelce. That could easily, fix your problems. Sorry, man. I mean, this offense is terrible. They don't run the ball well. They don't have good receivers. Their tight ends are their number 1 receivers, and tight ends are as slow as cement. Their offensive line is terrible. They have terrible quarterback play. The only thing I could say that's good about the Patriots is their defense is solid. That's it. That's the only thing I could say about the Patriots. There's nothing good going on in New England. I don't want to hear it. New England are bad. That's a bad football team, guys. That is a bad football team. I don't know what else to say at this point. They're the worst offense I have ever seen. This team didn't look like they wanted to score. And they played against a mediocre football team in the Chargers. This is bad. And you know the worst part is? Thursday, they got to play against an offense that's just equally as bad as they are in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel so bad for the viewers on Amazon Prime on Thursday when they got to go see the Patriots versus the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. I feel bad for Kirk Herbstreit. I feel bad for Al Michaels. I feel bad for everyone on that Thursday Night Football crew. They're going to fall asleep. I think is whoever could score a safety or a field goal should automatically win the game. This is how bad this game is going to be. The Steelers are horrendous. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Their offense is just as bad as the Patriots, but nobody tops the Patriots. Did you know the Patriots have lost 3 games in a row by scoring less than 10 points? They didn't score today, this week. The week before, they lost 10-7 to the Giants. And the one prior to that, I think they only scored 7 points, something like that. That's embarrassing, right? Like, how does Bill Belichick, you think how he feels knowing that he went from Tom Brady, who could cover up everything because he's Tom Brady, to this? Bill Belichick, why on earth would he ever want to go back to coaching after this? Why would he ever want to even go back to coaching another team? Why would you even give him a job? And no disrespect to the great Bill Belichick, he is the best to do it. But this offense, this season, not his best work. It's almost inexcusable. It's embarrassing. Truly is embarrassing. If you're a Patriots fan, oh my God, truly embarrassing. And of course, we just got breaking news. The Philadelphia Eagles have agreed to terms to sign 3-time Pro Bowl linebacker Shaquille Leonard, who just left Indianapolis. I'm now worried about Sunday Night Football. They got a linebacker now. They needed a linebacker. Dallas needed a linebacker. They let him go to Philadelphia. I know he's injured a lot, but he's a good linebacker when he's healthy. I don't like this. I don't like this move at all. We'll talk about the Eagles in a little bit, but the Cowboys need a linebacker, and that is not a good look for them. Damn. I don't like that move at all. And now another thing. Now another thing is, now we'll talk about the Steelers because I play. We were just joking about the Patriots and Steelers game being the worst football game ever, and you'll know why. Well, happy for James Conner, who came back to home. It's his home basically. Pittsburgh is his home, and played the way that he played. He absolutely dominated that game. He played a great game. He looked vintage James Conner, ran the ball effectively well. When he's healthy, James Conner is a very good running back. We all know that. When Kyler Murray plays, we all know how good he can be. There's no questions about it. The Cardinals, if they had Kyler Murray on week 1, would have been a playoff team. Because Kyler Murray is that good, right? Kyler Murray, we can both agree, he is very good. He's a good quarterback. He can win games with Kyler. He's special. James Conner, if he's healthy, they could definitely be a dangerous team. And they play aggressively. They came to Pittsburgh. Remember, guys, they went last week or the week before this week, getting smoked by the Rams. Absolutely smoked. And the Rams are like a good football team, but not a great football. But they absolutely got smoked by the Rams. This Cardinal team was like, shit, are we that good? Are we this? Are we anything good? They went to Pittsburgh, a team that's got a winning record, tough place to play at, smacked the living shit out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were not scared of the Steelers. Even their defense, I mean, the Steelers' defense is great, but their offense is atrocious. I mean, you can say a lot of things. Okay, Kenny Pickett got hurt. That changed their perspective because Mitch Trubisky looks like he's never thrown a football in his life, and this was a guy who was picked ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Well, Deshaun Watson's trash right now, but This guy was picked over Patrick Mahomes. Not a good look. And the Steelers have him as a backup, and he looks dreadful. Steelers are in trouble right now because if Kenny Pickett does miss a few games, which he's projected to miss, I don't know if the Steelers can win another game. Their offense is so bad. Mitch Trubisky does not look like a guy that can win you games. And if they don't run the football effectively, and if George Pickens doesn't make miracle plays, I mean, this Steelers team right now, guys, they were 7-3 at one point, guys. It's crazy. But they also show you how great of a coach Mike Tomlin is. You got to show a lot of love to Mike Tomlin and those guys, man. They just do their job. But I'm not sure. Maybe they can win next. They may get lucky because they're playing the Patriots. But Steelers going to the playoffs right now with this roster. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this roster. But we'll see how it goes, guys. Broncos at Texans. That was the next game. I like this. This game was actually very good. I thought this game, the Texans are a playoff team for sure. They proved to everybody that they're a playoff team. They took on one of the hottest teams in the National Football League, and the Denver Broncos, and beat them. And beat them pretty well. I was impressed. I mean, every single game, I'm getting more impressed by the Houston Texans. They fight and they fight and they fight and they fight and they fight. And guess what, guys? They won this game against one of the hottest football teams in the league. It's truly impressive. What else can we say about the Texans? They have the coach of the year, in my opinion, D'Amico Ryans. Wrap it up. It's coach of the year. I mean, guys, you got to understand this, right? Like, they have a rookie quarterback. A rookie quarterback who people doubted. There was a lot of doubt coming into this guy coming out of the combine. Nobody was very excited about this guy. They thought that this guy maybe should maybe be in the conversation for the third or fourth best quarterback in the class. Houston said, "Fuck that. We don't care. We want to listen. We'll take you." And this dude is playing like an MVP candidate. He ain't afraid of any big moment. If anything, he brings it into himself to say, "All right, bring me that moment. All right, I'll do it." He made some incredible throws, guys. You gotta remember, he had this without Tank Dell, who was out for the year. He broke his leg, broke his fibula. Which prayers to the great Tank Dell. Love you, bro. You're a hell of a football player. Next season, I'm scared to see what you're gonna do next season with year two with CJ Stroud and D'Amico Ryans. They're a good football team, guys. Like, coach of the year is wrapped up. I think there's no any other discussions. This dude's the coach of the year. And the Texans are a playoff team. They're playing like a playoff. In my opinion, they should be in the playoffs. It's getting hot, that race now, because you got Indianapolis, who still keeps on winning. They're 7-5 without their starting quarterback, guys. Truly impressive. And you still got the Cleveland Browns, and you still got the Steelers, who are in the race. So I'm curious to see what happens, but man, oh man, oh man. And the Denver Broncos chin up. Yeah, this was a tough loss for them. You never want to lose a game like that when you almost had a chance to win it and take it away from them. But the Broncos are, in my opinion, they're in the hunt. They're in the cusp. They're a very talented team. Um, Russell Wilson's playing is better than anybody. He had a rough week. He had a rough game this week, but Russ will bounce back. And this defense is playing as better than anybody. The running game wasn't as particularly as great as last week, but give time. Broncos, relax. You're 6-6. You're still in the race, and you're still pretty good. Schedule gets easier. Take a deep breath. You'll do fine. Now we go to the next game. We got the game of the week, guys. This was supposed to be the game of the year, right? 49ers traveled to Philadelphia, take on the Eagles, and the Niners won 42-19. Guys, what did I say to you guys last week about the Eagles? Right? What did I say about the Eagles last week? They are the most overrated team in the National Football League. People were saying they were the best team in football. Best team in football. Jalen Hurts, MVP. Jalen Hurts, MVP. This is the best team ever. This is the best team in the league. Blah, 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 blah. Guys, the 49ers just showed the world the Eagles are not the best team in the league. They have been the luckiest team. I've been saying that for weeks. They should have lost to Kansas City. If Valdez-Scantling actually can make a catch, they lost that game. They would for sure lose that game. The Bills, if Gabe Davis did the right route, that's game over there. That's 2 losses already. The Cowboys, if the refs weren't so biased for the Eagles, and if Dak actually finished that drive and little key plays here and there, it's 3 losses. So they're 10-2. They would have had 5 losses. 5 losses already. So that would make them 7-5. Guys, it's simple. The Eagles are just not as good as people think they are. People get overhyped because of a number. 10-1. They got hyped about that. Oh, well, they win games and guess you know who won close games last year? The Vikings. And they got knocked out in the first round by the New York Giants. This Eagles team reminds me a lot of the Vikings of last year. Winning in close games, clutch. But when a team goes on a run, like the 49ers did, the Eagles team doesn't have a plan B. They don't. They clearly don't. First thing first, the Eagles have walked away from their running game. Why on earth did you get DeAndre Swift? Why did you trade for DeAndre Swift? Before DeAndre Swift was making nice runs. Ever since then, no. They don't even they become one dimensional. Jalen, go throw the football to AJ Brown, and AJ Brown go help us win a game. But when you have corners that are capable of shutting down AJ Brown, oh, then you got Devontae Smith. But Devontae Smith is not good enough as AJ Brown. So you shut that out, and their offense is struggling. They don't have a tight end right now. Dallas Goedert's not playing. They don't really have a tight end. Maybe you should go get Zach Ertz. Would be hilarious if they end up getting him back. Because Zach Ertz is a damn good tight end. But the Eagles have bigger issues. They went out and get Leonard, which was a big help, but they don't have good linebackers. They need help in the secondary. They let Gardner Johnson go. That was a huge loss for them. And their offense is too predictable. Jalen Hurts, he's just going to throw the football. And to be fair, Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown the football effectively well this year. So what makes him an MVP then? He played that. He played that game. And they lost 42-19. When they play against a real team, the Eagles are not as good as what they say. The Eagles got very lucky last season that Brock Purdy got injured. Because if Brock Purdy played that game, they probably would have beaten the Eagles. The Eagles were, I mean, and to be fair, the Eagles were dominant last year. No questions asked. I probably still would have thought the 49ers would have still lost to the Eagles. because that Eagles team was good. They were special. But this year, no, I don't see how good this team can be. They're not as good as last year. Last year's film, you could see, is a lot better than this year's film. Jason Kelsey, guys, a guy who knows football. He's played in that organization for many, 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 many years. Knows good football when he sees it. We're just not playing good right. We're not good enough right now. What does that tell you? Jason Kelsey knows. We're just not good enough. The 49ers were pissed that the Eagles beat them that badly because they felt like they should have been in the Super Bowl. Debo Samuel was talking all that junk. Hey, we're better than you, bro. Hey, we're better than them. We're better than them. We're going to kick their fucking ass. We're that much better than them. We're that much better than them. There's no other way. That should be us. If Brock didn't get hurt, we would have been in the Super Bowl. And you guys told him like, "Oh, you look crazy, bro. Oh, that was some crazy shit you're saying, bro. You talking all that talk." Dude that talked all that talk backed it up. Debo Samuel came to that game and made it personal. He dominated that game like he's done for most of his career. He is that good. Mike Shanahan loved that energy. Shanahan took that energy from this team. They lost Trent Williams. They lost Brock Purdy. What's his name? Christian McCaffrey was hurt for most of that game. He had to do like 40. The offense was 98% him. I'm sorry, guys. Like, there's no questions asked. The Niners are better than the Eagles. And the worst thing that could happen to Philadelphia right now is that they're playing like this and they lost like this, and Dallas is coming up, who are even hungrier than the Niners because they knew they should have won that game in Philadelphia. And they are tired of people hearing the Eagles are better than you, the Eagles are better than you, the Eagles are better than you. That is in the mind of the Cowboys right now, saying, oh, they think they're that much better than us? We'll show them. That's why that game on Sunday night next week is going to be one of the best games of the year because it means a lot to both teams. The Eagles have to win because if not, they're 10-3. The Cowboys are 10-3. The 49ers are for sure going to be 10-3. And the Detroit Lions are going to be 10-3. That pressure now goes to Philadelphia, not to those three. It creates an interesting scenario. And that also means the 49ers would be number one. Eagles would probably be number two. And the Lions would be number three. And the Eagles would be a wild card team, which would be insane to even think about it. It truly is remarkable, guys. But the Eagles need to win this one. The Cowboys want to win because of morale and for people to just stop talking about them in a negative way. They want to shut the doubters right now. And they're doing it right now the way they're playing. But this is a game where you go, I remember when we beat the Eagles, that was the way the season changed for us. Cowboys are thinking that way. And for the Eagles, it's we can't let the Cowboys beat us again. Because if they beat us, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. It's a good game. And seeing how this game ended, it solidified my claim that the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in football. But now I can add the 49ers. 49ers and the Ravens are the two best teams in the NFL. And my picks for the Super Bowl this year. I would like to see that Super Bowl. Will we get it? I don't know. Maybe not. Because I do think maybe Kansas City could sneak out. Talk about the Chiefs. The Dolphins are a threat. The Jacksonville Jaguars are a threat. In the NFC, got the Cowboys. Still got the Eagles. The Lions. It all depends on how good they can be. And whoever gets hot in the NFC, which We'll talk about them in a little bit. Looks like this team as well. But either way, guys, it solidified two things that I've said. The Eagles are overrated. Jalen Hurts is overrated right now. He's not playing like an MVP candidate, and that went down. Brock Purdy is the front runner, and rightfully so. He played flawlessly last night. Played flawlessly against the Eagles defense. Now, the last game I want to talk about, guys, is the Chiefs versus the Packers. Sunday Night Football. This was exciting to watch. Man, oh man, oh man. What happened to the Chiefs? Guys, I think it's safe to say right now the Chiefs are not elite anymore. They're not an elite bunch anymore. We need to stop thinking they are. This offense sucks. And it's not because of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is obviously the reason why they're even having a winning record. Is they don't have any receivers to throw the football to. And if I'm Andy Reid, how on earth did I not go for like a Julio Jones? How on earth did I not go push for receiver this summer? How did I not push forward to try to sign a Keenan Allen or just trade for somebody, a receiver? Why did I not make a phone call for DeAndre Hopkins? How on earth did I not do any of this stuff? Well, because we have Patrick Mahomes and we'll win. Yeah, you do, but you're now going to Green Bay and getting and losing the way they lost. And then you lost to the Eagles, a game that you should have won, but because you lost because your receiver can't catch a, a, a simple catch. He drops everything. You let go of Tyreek Hill. You sold yourself to the devil. You won that one Super Bowl, which was great because it proved that, Patrick Mahomes is an elite quarterback. But now you lose Juju Smith Schuster and Sammy Watkins, and now you're back to being ass. That is a problem. Chiefs got cocky. Chiefs got cocky. They need a running game. Isaiah Pacheco is a nice weapon, but after he got kicked out of the game, they were in trouble. And I don't know what else to tell you. The Chiefs are just not elite anymore. This offense sucks. Their defense is good, but the offense sucks. They have issues. And I mean, yeah, they'll probably still win the division, but the fact that they'd be a contender for the AFC, it kind of pushes them away a bit. Miami's still very good. Baltimore is really good. And Jacksonville is very good. I'm not sure right now with this team, whether you rank them. I'm not sure at this point. I'm a little nervous about it, but it should be an interesting game for sure. And Jordan Love, guys. Holy shit. Jordan Love has arrived. I love it. I'm glad that he's proving his status wrong. I heard guys like Colin Coward saying that this dude is a 1 year bust and then they can move on to another quarterback. Nah, Jordan Love is the guy. Jordan Love is playing good football. He's getting hot at the right time, guys. In December. I mean, it's safe to say Jordan Love is starting to look like a great quarterback. He made some nice throws against Troy McDuffie, against Sharded what's his name? Yeah, against Trent McDuffie. Holy shit, that was nice throws to Romeo Dobbs. Truly incredible. Christian Watson, I hope he's okay because he's a weapon. And the other kid, Evans, what his name is, he's a nice weapon. Packers are legit, and they're a dark horse. They are officially a dark horse in the National Football League, guys. They are playing as well as anybody in the National Football League, and I'm not afraid to say it. They're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. Their schedule gets a lot easier. Play the Giants next. They'll win that game easy. And their schedule gets easier. They play Minnesota. They got a game in Chicago. Very, very, very winnable games for the Packers. They'll win those games for sure. Shout out to the Packers. They're playing good football right now. Well, guys, it's the end of the episode. I'm very excited. This is the first ever visual episode going to be released on Spotify and on YouTube, guys, exclusively. I'm very excited. To the House podcast only released on Tuesdays, and I have a big announcement to make. I have a few big announcements. Well, first, there will be a brand new episode of Say No More on Wednesday. We're gonna keep bringing episodes of Say No More on Wednesdays. Thursdays, we have a brand new. Well, sorry about Thursday. Fridays, we will have a brand new show about soccer called Upper 90, the Upper 90 podcast. I'm very excited to have that show on. I'm going to host it as well. It's a soccer podcast. We're going to have that on Fridays on Studio 69 Productions. Very excited about that. We're going to have Say No More, and we're going to have To the House. So we're going to have 3 podcasts in a week. It's awesome. It's fantastic. Also means I'm going to be really busy. But I'm okay with that. I love it. And of course, guys, Say No More, a new episode. We'll talk about this topic. But I'm releasing a new movie. Yeah. The Vengeance of Bane is officially coming out this week. It's movie week. It's opening week. I'm excited to show it to you guys. We'll talk about that on new episode of Say No More. Very excited, guys. And thank you for listening to the House podcast.